Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel where today we have a very special video. After a few months off, we are back with the mod team from RTR Imperium Surrectum, looking at all the work that's been done since, I believe, February or March since we did the last one. So there's been quite a lot of work done, and we're just here to show you that work is still continuing very much strongly on RTR Imperium Surrectum. So today I'm joined by Mausolos and Biggus. And so welcome Biggus to the channel.
Hi, Seth. Welcome.
And welcome Mausolos as well. Mausolos has been on a few other videos, guys, as well. So he's been on the Greek history and the Thracian and Illyrian history. So do check those videos out. They are really good. But welcome Mausolos once again.
Thank you. I've not been here often enough, I think, but no, it's good to be back.
Yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys. And we are here, obviously, to show you all the work that's been worked on. Well, not exactly every single thing, but a lot of stuff that's been worked on the way. And we do have a very special teaser at the end, guys, with some very special units that are going to be revealed. So do stick around for that. But first things first, we are going to talk about some stuff that me and Howl talked about last time. You know, we talked a lot about the unique buildings. So there's just a few unique buildings back into the game now that are being tested and continually added to and edited. Is there anything you want to say about these buildings, guys?
Yeah, so basically, I think these are new buildings we are implementing for the governments. What we can see is the Roman veteran colony, the Colonia Militaris as it's called now. So this is the building for the Roman faction, and basically the historical background is that the Romans founded these colonies to get citizens in newly conquered lands and settle them there, and this has mainly implications for recruitment. I think Biggus is going to say a bit more on the gameplay side.
Yes. Well, that's main idea. You be able to recruit your factional unit, and that is a concept that is extended to factions. That's the main idea. You need colonies to recruit your factional troops if that region is not a homeland for your faction. So that is a concept that is applied to every faction. Still work in progress, so may suffer some changes, but that is what colonies are about. We may still branch colonies to give different options too.
Yeah, cool. I think that's a good idea as well. I mean, it makes sense historically. You know, I know Mausolos will know a lot more about the history than me, but you know, these nations didn't just take over a nation and then instantly recruit, you know, legions from the local population, especially early on. And I mean, if we're talking about the Greeks, they, you know, didn't really train them in their ways of war until we get to much later on than the start of the game. And I mean, that caused huge issues, as we know, with the sort of Egyptian revolt. So these colonies are there to simulate your population going in. Obviously, the game engine can't handle something like a paradox game where you have population and, you know, percentages and all that sort of thing, but it's a really good simulation tool there, I think, to simulate these colonies over there. Is there anything else you want to say on that, guys?
I mean, I think you pretty much covered it, but of course, not just the Romans will have it, but most factions will have, or all factions will have a building like that. It might not be called colony. We're still figuring that out for some factions, to be honest, because it's harder for some than for others. As you said, Greeks basically have these military colonies in the Hellenistic period where they settle veterans just like the Romans, so that works quite well. But yeah, it is yet to be figured out for some other factions. But we are working on that, and yeah, I think our specialists will come up with good ideas.
Yeah, I mean, the Celts, it was pretty much just move in. Like, so they didn't really like colonize, they just moved there. It's like, hello, we're here now. Okay, cool. So, yeah.
I mean, they did take over some settlements, like in northern Italy, like Bologna or Milan, where Etruscan cities, I think. I mean, definitely Bologna was, and then the Celts took it over, and the settlement was a bit smaller at that time, but still, you'd imagine at some point they also recruited warriors from there. So it can work somehow for each faction. It just needs some research and creativity.
And everything, like, when we're talking about this history is, you know, fluid, especially when we're talking about stuff like the Celts and the Germans or like the Germanians. Like, so little is known that there has to be some license there, doesn't there? You can't just and within the restrictions of the game engine anyway. So should we move on to the next building? So again, these are some of the trade buildings, and I think I'll just breeze through these guys as we've seen them before. We've got the amphora maker over here, so it's just to show we've got brand new sort of images for a lot of these, which is really cool. Grape orchards as well, and obviously remember guys, all these bonuses and everything are work in progress. So if you see one and you're like, oh, that's massively OP or that's massively underpowered or whatever, they're all going to be changed with balancing and everything that comes with the new map and stuff like that. So again, we got loggers there as well, olive groves, to do with the new farming system that we actually talked about last time. So do check out that video if you are interested in how farming is going to go down. We've got the tannery over here, the weavery over here as well. And then we move on to something that is actually massive. So let's talk about this massive thing. And we're talking about something that is going to make the map feel and be extremely unique compared to a lot of other Total War maps out there. I believe no one else has done this for Rome Total War to this extent, at least. So let's have a look. We're talking about climates and terrains, guys. So every single region is going to have a climate and a terrain, and that is going to affect what buildings you can build. Obviously, the trade resources in the region, which have been updated across the whole map now, which is excellent. But yeah, what buildings you can build, the population growth, all that sort of thing. So this is very, very exciting for a campaign map nerd like me. So Biggus, do you want to tell us about the idea behind this and like why you wanted to implement this in the first place?
Yeah, sure. What you are seeing right now is the big map with the landscape types of every region in the map. We have researched landscapes and climates and many properties of the durations in the seek of creating mechanics to make all regions to feel more unique. So landscapes and climates will determine what are the capabilities of the region, what type of farms, what type of farming or herding options will get that region. That means desert region will get some farming options, and flood plain region will get a better farming options, generating more income, more growth. It will be easier to grow regions with a more friendly climate. All those properties will heavily interact with a lot of building. For example, we have researched every port. Every port, the maximum level it can reach. So you have you will find regions where you can build the maximum port level, then others with the mid level, or some other ports where you will be only allowed to build the first level of the port building. Then there are a lot of ideas, there are a lot of mechanics we are exploring to introduce. Like we have coded a mechanic for disabling roads and ports in winter for extreme cold climate, like alpine climate or subarctic. That is the general idea we were working on.
Yeah, cool. I think it's really, really interesting, especially for a Total War game, because you sort of see this in Paradox games, but in a Total War game, it's kind of like, especially for the old Total Wars. I don't know about the new ones, guys. Don't like, I don't know anything about the new games, but for the old ones especially, it's really, really interesting, especially like making all these areas unique. And as you can see, guys, I'm on the screen, and obviously you saw me moving the camera, so you can all see this. So I'm in a different place now. But as you can see, you know, all these sorts of climates, they are of course going to affect what you can build and all that sort of thing. And then terrains, which are very, very unique, and as you can see, completely diverse across the whole map, which is really, really cool. The one thing I wanted to ask, though, which I noticed earlier that I wanted to ask anyway, was what is karst terrain? Like, what is that? Karst? Like, is that just me being really dumb with geography, or what does that mean?
That's a hard one. I'm not sure what a karst is. I think maybe you, Mausolos. Do you know better than me? What is?
Yeah, I think it's a type of grayish rock formations, which I know that in Ireland they have a big like national park in Connacht and like near Galway, karst landscapes. Even though I'm not sure if it's karst terrain on our map, apparently it's not great. There's well to explain it. I mean, maybe it's not enough of that, but I think it's a mix of. It has some kind of special kind of rocks, which are mixed with grasslands. So I think it's carbonate rocks like limestone or dolomite, which some people might know from the Dolomite Mountains. Or I think it was also a material on a certain game where you can build your own world.
Yeah.
Minecraft, of course. So I think... yeah, it's something you should find around mountain chains, but you can find it around the world. I think it's quite typical in China, but also around the Alps and in Spain. There are some regions, maybe I don't know on this map. Yeah, there's a Spanish region there, which is, I think is the pink one, right? Yeah, also southern France. So yeah, I think it's a specific type of rock, and there will be specific types of plants and animals who live in these karst rocks.
Cool. Interesting. Like, I just wanted to ask that because that was the only thing that stuck out to me was like, what? I've never heard of that. That's very interesting.
We're going to have strings explaining what is every terrain type, what does it mean in terms of gameplay. You will find a lot of interaction between buildings and terrain and climate. So. One of our goals is to have it explained enough.
And I think like the main thing is that like the main takeaway from this, guys, is the fact that you are basically uniquifying all. That's not a word, but I'm gonna make it a word like Shakespeare, like uniquifying. Uniquifying like
Who's
certain
the native
areas.
speaker here again?
Yeah, well, I can hardly speak English, guys, so, you know, what can you do?
We're from the north, right?
Yeah. So making unique, like, all of these regions so that they interact with the climate and the terrain, and that's just really cool in my opinion. I think that's going to be very, very interesting. So yeah, obviously we can't reveal more on that because it all needs to be tested and trialed and everything like that. But yeah, no, it's really cool, and I think the idea behind it is great as well. So that you're not copy and paste cities all the time. You know, you're not building the same thing in every single city. I think that's the main thing, is making you think before you build, guys.
And of course, this is also deeply connected to the resource system we've implemented, and which you might have already touched upon in the previous video. Did you?
Yes, we talked about that quite. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it is deeply connected to the resource system, which was already mentioned in previous videos. And of course, you will find different resources across the map, and now this will combine with the landscape and terrains, and also lead to different farming output, for example. So the income of cities will be a lot more varied than before and depend on a lot of factors, but you can actually check these factors, so you will actually be able to see where you have to expand to do what and to get what, to get which bonus and get more farming income and stuff like that. And really shout out to all the people in the gameplay department, but also the historians who Also, but to Hadrian, who organized it, all the research, and Jorolaf, of course, is working on the map. Yeah, just wanted to mention some guys from our team there.
Yeah,
incredible work on this, and of course, Biggus Dyck, but he's here.
Yeah, and obviously, guys, the cut is still going on. The map is still being worked on. I think they're aiming for 1,300 regions or so. So yeah, there is still a cut going on. So that the map will continue to be slimmed down. And talking about slimmed down maps, let's talk about RIS Classic as well, guys. And this is a detailed look at RIS Classic and the factions that may be on it. So obviously everything's a work in progress, guys, but for everyone that is interested in this smaller, more classic feeling map, that is also still being worked on with all these factions. So, you know, a world conquest on this one, probably a bit easier than the than this one. So for all you guys that want to, you know, do massive expansive campaigns, this is like amazing for you. So I just wanted to show this off and just make sure that you're all still getting updated on this as well. And of course, the climate system and the terrain system has also been implemented on this now as well, which is really, really cool. And I believe that's Apple working on that, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, mainly Apple is implementing a lot of stuff. Of course, we're now doing a lot of stuff for Classic as well, because a lot of things to be implemented at both maps. We're currently researching stuff connected to recruitment, which we saw earlier with the colonies and homelands and stuff like that, and we were doing that for both maps. And a lot of things will be the same on the two maps, of course. Like, it will have a lot of features. You are not missing out on other features which are not connected to the map size.
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, it's the same mod. It's just on a different size map, isn't it? So you're still going to have all the units and a lot of the factions and all the unique AOR, units to recruit and all that sort of thing, and whatever game features may get added, the same buildings, just on a condensed, faster-paced map, basically, which, I think is going to be very, very cool indeed. So, shall we move on to the next thing, guys? Which
Sure.
Is something that we can probably go through quite quickly, which is all of the, because there's about 30 of them, is all of the sort of campaign map models have now been uniqueified. So for all the different factions, they've all got really unique ones now, so it just adds a lot of diversity to the map. It's the same with the Thracian and the Anatolian spies and diplomats. They also look unique now, which I think we've showed on a previous video. So we'll just go through them. We've got the Etruscan ones over here. Obviously, it's hard to get a really zoomed in one. So obviously, a lot of work has been continuing with the art team, guys. And, you know, we've got all the building icons, the faction banners. That's all being worked on. And for the amount of factions that there are, that's insane amount of work for the art team. But obviously, they're also doing stuff like this, which I think it's a little thing, but it just adds so much life to the campaign map when you notice these little things. And if you've seen any of my unit videos in the past, guys, you know I really like the small details. So, it's really cool. And do you want to give a shout out to all the art team, guys, while I'm going through a few of these different ones? We've got the RDAI here.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely Naked Spur who's doing all the banners, and there's Stricker who's working on motifs. And of course, there's also research behind this from the historians, but it's them who are doing that, and I think people are also helping to implement it, and of course, all the artists who are working on units also are involved with these kind of things at times, and I think it should shout out here with this, and all the units we will yet see, because of course these are also based on the units to all the artists there. Balbo especially is our main unit guy, but there are a lot of people working on units as Santo Padre, Ortiga, and Exi, and lots of people.
Yeah,
I probably can't think of all of them now, but great work, I think, and that will certainly enrich the experience on the map with all the new banners and all the new outfits, and make it a more colorful and uniqueifying experience.
It's a new word, I told you. I love the Seleucid one. Obviously, like if any of you guys know anything about me, I'm going to love the Seleucid one. But yeah, the Seleucid one. I
This man
also
has a slight bias.
yes, just a tiny bias. I also love the one with the flowers on the fields. I believe this one here, Cappadocia, like the flowers on the shields. Like I think that's really cool. Like. That's such a level of detail, guys. Like, that's insane. Because think about how many people are going to zoom in close enough to even see that. Like, it definitely didn't need to be that detailed, but, you know, this mod team just goes to extreme lengths to make sure everything's detailed. I mean, look at this one. It's even got a pattern on the cuirass there. So, yeah, really, really cool. But, yeah, this is one of the other small details that just is really, really amazing.
Sorry, as you can see, you can find captains and generals has different models.
So another thing, guys, that Lusitano has been working on with the help of a few other people is the Roman traits, because obviously a true Roman faction in a Total War game needs its unique traits. So we've got some triumph traits here, which is really cool. We've got a denied triumph, so this guy didn't get to do his triumph. This one's a bit zoomed in, but we'll see it in a little second. Imperator trait as well. Over here, we've got Triumphator as well, which is really cool. So as you can see, we've got these unique Roman traits that are really, really cool and going to add spice to your Roman campaign, because I'm sure when the Rome update drops, guys, you're going to want to play Rome. The other thing that you can see here as well, which is, I believe, a work in progress, an experimental work, is we have dynamic naming. So this guy, Manius Africanus, is called that because he may have conquered a very important city in Africa, which you can probably guess which one, guys. But I just think that's really, really cool. We've also got him here as well. And he has gone back to Rome for his triumph. And you can see celebrated Triumphator as well. Is there anything you want to say on this, Mausolos?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we are just making the Roman experience a bit more interesting here. And the triumph is a big thing in Rome. Of course, someone who was winning a victory over a certain enemy could celebrate a triumph. Of course, this is a very big one if it is about the Carthaginians. And then you can get this name as Africanus. As a title, but there are, of course, other ones. You can get victories over the Celts in Iberia and so on. I mean, obviously, Claudius later got the title Britannicus and gave it to his son, and there was Germanicus in the Imperial era. And we also see in the Imperial era how important these triumphs are, because then the emperors, they forbid people from outside the family to actually get a triumph. And they can get the Ornamenta Triumphalia, which is the kind of presents, basically, the kind of material stuff that signify the triumph, but they cannot celebrate triumphs anymore, because this was a way to become really popular, and to see it here. And the effects in the game: +2 influence and 10% bonus to your popularity with the people, but 5% penalty to your popularity with the Senate, because at the same time. And there are more traits like that on the way, which Lusitano is actually working on just today. For the Romans, this will be a big thing that if you're successful, you're actually less popular.
Yeah.
So,
I'm assuming with the Senate, you mean like
exactly. To combine both the Africanus title and the other traits into one famous example is, of course, Scipio Africanus, who defeated Hannibal, and he was basically cast out at the end of his life. And Strabo says he lived in a small village in southern Italy because his enemies said he was corrupt and he had taken all the stuff from Carthage for himself and enriched himself. So his political enemies eventually won against him, and he died bitter and in exile.
The old Cicero treatment. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think really cool. And obviously the traits is one of those things that like some people just don't even look at, and you can still play the game without even looking at them. And that's which is one of the things. But if you do look at them, you can really enrich your sort of role-playing experience if you want to role-play, and get some of these generals as true heroes of Rome. So yeah, I think it's really, really cool. And I've heard there's a really, really, really good retinue in Britain called the British Turncoat, so I'd recommend getting that guy. He's pretty cool. But anyway, let's move on, and you can already see it, guys. The next thing is another big tip of the hat to the art team, because we've got a few new portraits, which you can already see on this, by the way, like brand new portraits looking very nice. So let's go across again, and we've got a few different selections of portraits to show you guys. You've obviously got some Celtic one here with his torque on, and that cloak clasp, if I can speak. We've also got another, I believe is that Celtic or is that Germanic, Mausolos?
I mean, this is a bit of a philosophical question.
Yeah.
I think it might be Celtic. He could even be Scythian.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think he's Celtic, yeah. Biggus, do you know? Is he Celtic, Germanic? This guy, I think, could be Scythian. Oh man,
got the shell clasp on, very nice. And then I wonder which nation this guy's from. So yeah, another cool portrait. And then we've got the fashion of the time.
Ptolemy the Cool.
Yeah.
All these dynasty kings are the epithets, these the nicknames sort of, and this is Ptolemy the Cool. He's not well known because he only ruled in the summer of 268 BC, and then when it became winter, he retreated to Antarctica.
Yeah. No, looking really, really nice. So obviously the art team, they've done a lot of work. Continuing to do work. I could have shown you so much other stuff as well, like banners and symbols and everything like that, guys, but yeah, we don't need to show all of that until we get into the game when we're showing off these new factions. So much work has been done in the few months in between. So guys, it's almost time to get into the really juicy meat of the video today. But
the big one.
Yeah, exactly. The very big one that you've all been excited to have a look at. But before we do, obviously, I'm just going to say there's been plenty of other work. This isn't the only work that's been done. Work on the AI, work on getting rid of glitches, bug fixing, historical descriptions, which Mausolos has been working tirelessly at, and, you know, a lot of history work. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, lots of people, but yeah, not just you, but yeah, lots of people. And then obviously a huge thing is the gameplay balancing, which the beta testers have been instrumental in, playing the beta, balancing all of these bonuses and stuff from all the new buildings, because there's tons of new buildings. So yeah, it's balancing the game, the growth, the money, all that sort of thing. So yeah, loads of work's been going on, but let's get into what most of you are probably here for, and let's look at some exclusive, mind you, Roman units. So here we go. We're going to start off slow, nice and slow, with some Roman units without the units inside the clothing. But first things first, this is an Oscan Tunic with a Samnite belt in its many 8 different variants, which I just think is really cool. So Mausolos, do you want to talk about what unit this might be on?
Yeah, so the Oscan culture is basically the pre-Roman, pre-Greek even culture in southern Italy. And yeah, basically everything from Campania to Puglia, ancient Apulia, and Calabria. The Samnites are probably the most famous representative of these people. So we see this on a lot of Samnite units, and we see, I think, a Samnite style belt here. And my colleague Joteles worked tirelessly to work through the archives and the pictures of Italian museums and Italian experts, even at conferences where I was as well. I can attest to that. So a lot of work has really gone into the research of these units, and I think they'll be more accurate than any other Italic and Roman units seen before. Without sounding arrogant, hopefully, yeah, I think it's just been a momentous effort, and we've prepared this for years. Yeah. We even started first research of Italic units, I think, started in like 2012, before that was even Rome the Total War remastered. So yeah, you can see a lot of work goes into this, and you can see here that the Samnites, like, they are white, black, blue, red, but blue and red is quite the outstanding feature here, so you can recognize them, and we see it in a lot of Samnite units, especially the lighter ones, of course, who don't have body armor, so you will be able to see these tunics.
And then we have something very, very, very amazing looking, which again is the Oscan Breastplate, I believe. So Mausolos, do you want to explain a little bit about this one and the interesting story you actually told me about this before we started?
I think there's a lot to say about this because this was actually found in North Africa. And someone dated it to the Second Punic War when it was found. Then everyone was like, "Oh, this must be the armor of Hannibal." Of course, there's actually no historical clue for that Hannibal actually wore this armor, aside from the fact that it's very impressive. But archaeological research actually found it was produced in southern Italy, probably before even the First Punic War. But again, Jotl would know better. But yeah, I think it's very, very much earlier. So yeah, it can have existed by 270 BC for sure. And people might have seen it in the second Gladiator film. But I also know from some historians that they got very angry and very drunk when they heard about this being in the Gladiator film just in 280. So if you think it's inaccurate that Hannibal could have worn it because it was produced maybe a century or half a century before he lived, then yeah, you know how people might feel when they see it being used half a millennium later.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's, I think, an outstanding piece of Samnite or Oscan craftsmanship. We can see all the details, and yeah, how important it is to yeah, just represent yourself basically with this kind of armor.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Mausolos is trying to say about the Gladiator 2 movie, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Mausolos, but it's basically like someone making a World War II film and giving all the actors muskets. Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it looks incredibly cool. I'm not going to lie. If I was making a film about gladiators, I'd have one of them wearing it. So, but on to the next thing, which again is another chest plate there. And we are another Oscan chest plate, I believe.
Yes, this is a triple cuirass, which I think was also used perhaps in other regions of Italy. In any case, we know that the Oscan equipment, of course, also influenced Greeks, Etruscans, and Romans, and we see influences of that on other units, not just exactly the same. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities in design, especially between the Italic peoples. And then the triple cuirass, of course, is interesting because that actually means a lot of material needs to be used, and a lot of work to make all of these 3 discs. And yeah, and then on 2 sides as well, as you can see on the right. And that, of course, means that it must have been owned by someone who had quite a lot of money, so he could afford something like that.
Yeah, so just a question out of curiosity, do the discs have any practical use, like reinforcement or anything, or is it just decoration? Like, is it just there for decoration?
So I think some of them we only see that on some Roman units. They only have 1 disc, and I think similar things are known from Iberia. And those, if it's just 1 disc, they are usually over the heart and the heart area. So that's some extra protection. And you will see one of these would be over the heart area, which makes sense, and then the other one also over the breast area, and it might be reinforced with some extra material, so that it's even harder than the rest. And of course, this one would protect both sides of your breast and, well, both of your breasts,
Yeah.
say, and your belly, which are of course like the softest part, where an enemy could easily cut it open with their sword. And of course, your most important organs, aside from the head, are in there. But of course, there are also some nice and shiny helmets on the heads, which we will also see on some of the units later.
Yeah. Oh, it looks amazing. I mean, like, I'm just so excited to see the units out in full action. But we'll carry on with the parts of units, guys. But don't worry, we do have pictures of units coming very soon. So we'll just talk about these swords. So these are not gladiuses, I believe, Mausolos, right?
Nope, they are not. These are actually Latin swords. So the Latin culture is basically the Celtic culture. There's the Hallstatt culture, which is the first period of the Celtic culture, basically dated by archaeologists. And then Hallstatt, the Hallstatt period is, yeah, it's typical for the Hallstatt period is are big settlements, which are kind of rich in their peaceful relations. And then in the 5th century, this changes with the Celts then becoming more migratory, and of course also arriving in Italy, later on the Balkans, then attacking Greece and Asia Minor famously. But all of this it can also be seen in the archaeological record, and then people speak of the Latin culture and their different phases of Latin, and Genava, our expert, could say a lot about this. I keep it short. The main thing is that the Celts, they come up with these in this period. They become very aggressive, and of course they also invade Italy and take a lot of territory in the north, and they are kind of still there in 270 BC as your neighbors like the Subris and the Boii around Bononia, which I mentioned earlier, as Bologna. So we have that, and then they have these straight swords, and the Celts, some people might not know this, they were actually very good at their craftsmanship. And we also read from Greek authors that they thought that the Celtiberians especially, but also the Celts in northern Italy, are very good at ironworking. So they invented new forms of swords, and then also chainmail later on. And that is a big technological advancement, one could say. And Greeks, Romans, Etruscans were all very impressed by that. And then these Celtic-style weapons spread all around the Mediterranean, and this is why we also find swords like this used by the Romans in this instance, by other Italic peoples, but also in Iberia. They adopted on the Balkans, I think, by Thracian Illyrians. They also pick up some of these weapons, and then of course the Roman gladius is also related to this, which stems from the Iberian gladius, which itself also developed under some Celtic influences.
Yeah, awesome. Really, really cool. And yeah, like Mausolos says, the Celts were exceptional metal workers. So it is awesome to see that represented here with this early type of sword. So very cool. I'm assuming this is for the Romans, but I'm sure we'll see it on Celtic units in the future as well. So looking really good. Right then, guys, on to the fun stuff, the big stuff. Let's have a look. So here we go. So here we are, starting with a very early Hastati. So, is there anything you want to say about this particular unit, Mausolos?
So what we can see here are the Hastati, which, according to some people and some ancient historians, are named after the hasta, which is a spear, and we can obviously see the spear here, which explains where the name comes from. And we do see the typical Roman shield, the scutum, made of wood. It could be reinforced with some other materials, especially the thing in the middle, the umbo shield boss. But generally, it's a wooden shield, and you can see it on the right. You can see that quite well from behind, that it's wood, and I think it's quite nicely animated. And then we see some typical helmets for Italy in this period, and of course the lack of body armor. Which is described by authors for the early period. And these are, of course, not the legionaries you might expect from films like Gladiator, which are usually based on troops from the Roman civil wars or the early imperial period, the Principate. So this is quite different from what some people might expect, and I think we also see that with some other Roman units. We see more.
So this is the next variant of the Hastati as well, and on this one, as Mausolos said about the last one, you might expect some armor, but they've basically got that front leg greave on their shin. You've got the shield, the helmet, and the spear, and then the sword in the belt. But this one does have a little bit more protection, as you can see. And was this just like natural progression over time, Mausolos? Like, obviously getting heavier and heavier in terms of armor. Well, I don't, they didn't become plate armor with like medieval knights overnight, but starting to get a bit more armor on, that sort of thing.
So I think you can probably say that over time there is some kind of progress, but I think for the Republic it is mostly true what we can read in the description of the Roman army by Polybius, the Roman historian from Achaea and the northern Peloponnese, who lived in the 2nd century BC and who also lived in Rome. And he tells us that there's quite a lot of variance among the people because, like in the Greek world, a lot of people basically have to arm themselves. And some can afford more, some can afford less. So if you can afford a cuirass like this, it does look a bit ridiculous compared to the old muscle cuirasses we see in Greece, which are just much bigger and cover more of your body. But of course, this makes you lighter and more flexible. But yeah, I think overall, there's a lot of difference in equipment, and even in the Civil Wars, you
Yeah.
still have legions without body armor, basically. And I think there might be a unit representing that as well, because obviously in that period when Caesar is fighting Pompey, especially, there's a huge need for troops, and sometimes they are just recruited on the go, and then there's not always body armor available for these people, and they cannot afford it either.
Yeah, I forgot then for a second that obviously they had to buy their own equipment, like in a lot of cases, especially early on. So yeah, I mean, I guess you wear what you can afford, really, don't you? You're like, I can afford a helmet, I wear a helmet. That's about it.
Yeah, I think that's also symbolized by the one grief on the guy before.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we can see that sword that we actually talked about before on his waist as well, which is really cool. Yeah. So onto a bit more of a slightly heavier unit, but we're still going light. Again, we have the Triarii, and obviously there's one thing, not the Triarii, sorry, the Principes. There's one thing that very much sticks out to me that just looks absolutely amazing, and it is that helmet. I think that is absolutely gorgeous as a helmet. So what was the predominant difference between the Hastati and the Principes, Mausolos?
So basically, I'm relying on Polybius again here.
Yeah.
Because he has such a nice description of the Roman army, and he's described it for a Greek audience, but it still works for us today, basically. But of course, we can also read it in later Roman sources. So the Hastati basically fight in the first line of the formation, the triplex archeus, which is basically like a chessboard formation of the Romans, and then in each formation you have Hastati in the first line or in the first few lines, and then you have the Principes, who are slightly older, more experienced soldiers, and they are helmets, of course, with these nice decorations. They represent this experience, and of course, quite often also a bit more wealth, because they're simply older and they have booty, which they might have earned, and in the off period when they didn't fight, they are farmers and they might have made some fortune, while the Hastati are still the sons of people who actually own the farms. And yeah, so we see the difference in that, and then we will see later on the Triarii, who are the oldest men and who fight in the third and last rank, and these reserves were quite a big deal in the Roman successes. We see it, for example, in the Battle of Zama in Africa in 202 BC, when Scipio defeats Hannibal, and also other Battle of the Second Punic War, those which Romans actually won. I know that's not many, but just so they won the war somehow. That they make very clever use of these reserves. And at Zama, I think it is. I think it is a Zama where we actually see. I think it's the Battle of the Great Plains, which is slightly earlier. We see something which Total War players would probably do, or might do. The Romans actually use the Hastati to pin down the enemy line, and then the Principes attack them on the flanks, and the Triarii send round to break the Celtiberian mercenaries who are still fighting for the Carthaginians from the back, so to say, and surround them from all sides.
So what you're saying is hammer and anvil was actually used in real life?
Yeah, exactly. Not just with cavalry, even with
yeah. No, cool. But to be fair, I think that's the only tactic that I use. I'm not gonna lie. I can't think of anything else.
That's why I said a lot of RIS people would do it. Let's not lie to ourselves about it.
That or if it's a full cavalry army, just full charge, charge straight ahead. Me and Ahal actually did a Parthian one where I teleported an army from Parthia to Rome, and we just took all of the Parthian horse archers, fought the army at Rome, and just charged them straight into them, like not even firing any missiles, and they just broke everything. It was class. It was quite funny. But yeah, that's a good tactic, guys. Use that tactic. Don't use tactics, just charge.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the Romans kind of did at Cannae, and I mean, it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not for them, but
yeah. So here we are, another Triarii unit, and this one you can see with sort of the bronze cuirass, or the bronze breastplate. Well, I guess it's not just a breastplate, is it? It is a cuirass. So looking very nice. And is that leather covered shield as well?
I think it is. Yeah. I think it was quite usual for the scutum or the turios in the Greek world to be covered by leather. Rarely with metal, because it would just be too heavy. You have with the shield boss in the middle, or the whole the spina it's called when it's so long, which is often made of metal, so you can basically push that towards the enemy and push him over with the shield, or just use the boss to deflect a direct hit. But the rest, leather and wood, would be enough to protect you from most hits. And of course, we can absolutely see these guys also have cuirasses, so these are better protected. Even though, like most of these so-called urbanized people of the ancient world, they are wearing skirts. So that's a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, trousers are for barbarians, right? So we've got the sword here again, the Tene Sword, and it's just interesting. Like, it's just really interesting seeing these units, because you've got the idea for someone who's a Philistine like me. When you think of Roman troops, you think of the legions, right? You think of the big shield, the plate, scaled armor. But it's just interesting with this shield. I was thinking then, like, you can't really interlock it with your next person, can you? Unlike the shields from later on. So I'm assuming that wasn't really that much part of their tactics. It will be more, throw the javelin, get into the enemy sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they sometimes still did it if they had to defend themselves, and it can kind of work. I mean, Hoplites also did it in their shields around, so yeah, I think theoretically it is.
But I feel like
of course.
Sideways though with a hoplite shield, because it's, well, I know there was ones that had quite smaller shields, but like with a sort of aspis big round shield, like it's wider, whereas this is like more like a Thurio-Foroi shield, I guess, and
it is the Thurios at the end of the day. Of course, this also comes to the Celts. Have the Thurios, and then the Scutum spreads in Italy quite early. It comes to Italy, to Greece a bit later, but then we also see the Thracians adopted and the Illyrians, and basically everyone. It's a bit like these swords. They're a bit like these kind of innovations, and then the Thurios Scutum style shield can easily be mass produced, basically, and it's very useful because it's big and light. So you can easily carry it around, and I think we should also underestimate the dexterity of these soldiers and just wielding it around, because like lighter units, we'll see some of these soon. They just have a ketra, as the Romans call it, or a pelte in the Greek world. It's very, very small, and you think, how could that protect anybody? But if you move it around quickly enough, I think everything can be a lot more protected than it would be if we are fighting.
Yeah.
So our formation.
Yeah, no, awesome. Really, really cool. What is the next one? I remember. Yes, very good. So, we have the Triarii, guys. So, very, very cool looking. And as you can see, just a little bit heavier. We're talking, higher status people and more veterans of the army as well, like you say. So, as you can see, they're just a little bit better equipped than we've seen previously, and that helmet is absolutely awesome as well. Oh yeah, that is very cool. Almost like the rooster head. You know what I mean? So looking very, very cool indeed. And these guys have a different type of spear as well to the spear that we've seen previously.
Yes.
So
yes, the Triarii will actually fight a spearman. They are the older and more experienced soldiers, and there's this saying among the Romans that to call the Triarii or to fall back on the Triarii, which means that it's a really, really dreadful situation, because usually they don't even have to fight. You expect the others to win the battle, or if all of them rout, then the Triarii will only try to basically protect those who run away. And we can see with these, of course, that they can afford griefs on both sides, which is bad progress. And yes, of course, helmets like this one also influenced, I suppose, by some Greek helmet designs like Attic helmets, and of course, also Etruscan, bronze working skills. And then we can see how again, it's a sign of status, and because the Triarii are the oldest and most experienced soldiers, it also means that these are probably pater. Each soldier would probably be a pater familia. So familiae, he would be the father of a family, so he can take the money in basically, and his sons are still Hastati, so their daddy is not going to give them the best equipment because he needs it on them himself.
That's an interesting question though. Like, why would you mark yourself out as being high status on the battlefield? Like, why would you Because surely that makes you more of a target. Is it prestige? Is it prestige basically?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that is about social influence. Like, how do you rise among the social ranks in an ancient society, and a lot of that is showing bravery in battle, and then showing if you've won booty from the enemy, if you've achieved something in your life already, you just gonna display it proudly. And I think there's also one thing which we should not underestimate, because in real ancient battles, of course, casualty numbers are actually quite low. It's not like Total War where they actually all die most of the time.
Yeah.
Of course, there's nothing we can represent or even want to represent, because players would just be frustrated.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work with the Total War mechanics or any other game mechanics. But of course, in real life, the casualty rate in regard of, well, meaning actually fallen, killed people, was actually quite low in historical battles before like the 19th century, I'd say. So in most battles, it is unusual that there would be a lot of dead people. So I think that should also be taken into account, that people usually just don't get killed in battle.
More to do with like morale and if one army breaks versus another.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, very, very, very cool indeed. And basically, you know, the status of your stuff, it's like the real Housewives of Rome.
Yeah.
But the male version. So here we go. Something with a little bit more armor now. We're talking about, well, I guess it's similar to the Triarii, but yeah, we have here Big A. No, the Etruscan Hoplites. So looking really, really cool. For all you Etruscan enjoyers, this is directly for you. So we've got the lovely helmet there with, that looks to me like a grouse feather, but I don't know exactly what feather it is, but looking awesome. And then this sort of what is that? Is that what type of armor is that?
I think it's small plates of polished bronze, probably. To be honest, I'm not an expert in Etruscan armor either.
Yeah.
Again, probably something Jotl came up with. But yeah, we can see here how the Etruscans preferred looking beautiful over being actually effective, and that's what I died out. I remember a historian who used to say if the Etruscans had not put all of the shiny and nice armor into the graves, then maybe they would have been able to defend themselves against the Romans.
Yeah.
Because the Romans and Greeks did not do that. They didn't put armor in the graves. And all the other people in the ancient world basically did, and the Greeks and the Romans are the most famous. Coincidence? I think not. No, we can see the very impressive metalwork of the Etruscans at work again here and on show, and the decoration of the shield, and a lot of Greek influences, obviously, a lot of similarities to Greek hoplites, and then the grouse. I mean, maybe it's not a Scottish grouse, but more for Tuscany grouse. Who knows? I'm not here as a zoologist, so whatever. It is beautifully looking anyway, and I think very impressive helmets as well, and definitely even nicer looking than the Triarii. And of course, we see it with this unit as well. I think these are also Etruscan hoplites.
Yes, so we've got about 5 pictures of them, so I'll just go through them.
Yeah, just go on.
This is
we can see
the big brain one.
What I should point out, I think, is on the shields. You can see here, and also in the previous picture, I think it was Pegasus, wasn't it? Yeah. You can see a lot of scenes from Greek mythology, and I think this is Hera, maybe. Monster.
There's Pegasus.
Different creatures, and there's Pegasus, and there's the boar, the Erymantian boar in Aetolia, which was killed by Heracles. All of these are on there because a lot of stuff of Greek mythology, and especially depictions of Greek mythology, we actually have from the Etruscans, from Etruria, because there's a lot of vases like amphorae from Etruria which depict them, and some of them were produced in Greece, but then the Etruscans also produced their own after the Greek role model, and a lot of mythological depictions we actually have from there. And we can see here, oh man, look at that helmet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
See on the right, looks amazing once again. And I mean, I was making fun of the Etruscans earlier, but it's kind of true. They were very, very great in their art. And you can see, I mean, a lot of people have been very derogatory about this in the past as well, but we can also see it on the tomb paintings, which you can find in Tuscany, where they mainly lived. We can see a lot of stuff going on, like a lot of parties going on, a lot of luxury. You can see women sharing their dinner benches, because they use these kind of benches, the Romans as well, obviously, and Greeks, sharing them with the women, while in Greece and Rome it's a male only event, well, aside from prostitutes. Yeah, I think this is that is the big thing in Etruscan society. There is a lot about display of wealth and power and connecting it religious meaning and mythology, and I think it's incredibly well represented by these units. I mean, it's an art of its own.
Yeah, they're absolutely beautiful, and it's just awesome to see them represented as well, because we generally don't see, well, especially in sort of vanilla, at least anyway, we don't see these other italic tribes and nations really represented. I mean, I don't want to give anything away about the factions, but obviously there are a few italic factions in the game as well, which is really cool. But it's just awesome to see these guys actually represented, because they're not represented very often, and a lot of people just kind of think, I know not you guys out there watching this video, but generally we kind of think of Rome like from Italy. Like, we just think of Rome as just, they had Italy, but it's like they waged a series of bloody and brutal wars to get Italy to start with, against all of these tribes, and these tribes were constantly rebelling for a long time. It was Pyrrhus used the southern Greeks, he used the Bruttians. Hannibal tried to get the southern Greeks as well, managed to get the northern Gauls. So all of these people were not just instantly Roman as soon as the Romans took them over. It's just interesting to see that. The Etruscan Museum in the Vatican, guys, as well, is very good. It's probably one of the best parts of the Vatican Museum, because no one goes in there. Like, everyone's just going to the Sistine Chapel. So yeah, I was literally was on the road to the Sistine Chapel, and it was like being on a human slide where you were just pushed along by a crowd of people. Then we went in the Etruscan Museum. There's about 3 people in there. The only thing is, though, there's only so many vases that show Hercules that you can look at, because there's about 1,000 vases that are awesome, but they all just show like pretty much the same thing. So you're just like, oh yeah, this vase has Hercules. Oh right, this vase is Hercules, and this vase is Hercules. So it's an amazing place to go if you ever get a chance, guys. So I would highly recommend it.
We have a few more units which are not Etruscan.
Yes, so we are onto a few more Roman units, and we've got the lowest of the low, basically, the big boys.
Yeah, so back to the Romans, back to some ropey, poor bastard units. The early Romans are really not as impressive as some people might think, because they always think of the Augustan kind of legions. What we have here are the Funditores, slingers in Rome, and you can see they have basically a very simple cap. You can see the sling, obviously, and a small back for the sling bullets, and that's about it. There's no armor, there's like nothing, and I think this cap is also not very efficient. Maybe it protects you against birds shitting on your head, but that's about it. So I think, it's not the best protection anyway, but of course, there are always units like this as well, and Livy, the Roman historian, mentions them quite a few times, and this is the same here. I think these are the Rorarii.
I think these are we've got the Rorarii and we've got the Leves.
I mean,
is that the right way around?
No, this is so good. This is the Leves, and then the other side, the Rorarii. I think it's not 100% clear from the description in Livy. All of these, like the Funditores, are basically poor men drafted to defend the city of Rome or to fight in field battles in terrible situations when every man is needed. So I think you can see it here. None of them has any armor. Here's a kind of Phrygian cap on his head, and here's the shield, which is a lot of progress, I guess. And he has a long spear, so he can defend himself in melee. But of course, these are also not going to be very efficient. But these are going to be very cheap units, and they can be useful in the early stages of the campaign if you're fighting against other crap units. I mean, of course, we know the most famous crap units are all in Asia Minor, so you're not actually getting to
Paphlagonians, bro. Paphlagonians.
Yeah, exactly. Paphlagonians forever, and Phrygian spearmen.
What about the Thinoi clubmen as well? The absolute boys.
Oh, yeah. I knew you were going to bring them up. Biggus, do you have a favorite unit? Favorite crap unit?
No, I really, I really don't enjoy any special unit.
Right, maybe these Rorarii are going to become your favorite unit in the
Yeah.
future.
Well, it might be the next one because I think we're going to jump scare everyone with the next one. If you remember. So, are you ready, guys? Are you ready to see like genuinely amazing looking unit? He's just doing something that we don't agree with. So, here we go. We have the Polybian Equites. So obviously we have the chainmail, we've got the belt, we've got the helmet, we've got the shield, we've got the spear, and he is sat on the back of a horse, guys. That is what I have been reliably told. He is definitely not doing anything else. Reliably, he sat on the back of an invisible horse. I don't know how he managed to saddle and get the invisible horse, but he managed to get it. So, yeah. So here, obviously, we're talking about what the nobles, Mausolos?
Yeah, so we're going to see some noble Equites here in deck, and of course, for the best kind of armor available, shiny helmets and this big bush on the helmet. Basically, I'm sure there's a better word for it.
Yeah, I don't know what
I
it
mean,
is.
they have these decorated helmets anyway. Their shields are also painted red to stand out more. And of course, the most outstanding part of O'Dole, and which I've been ignoring so far, is the spear. No, it's not. It is, of course, the chainmail, which we can see on their bodies. And chainmail armor, of course, is incredibly hard, but also incredibly flexible. So it's a huge technological progress, and again, something invented by the Celts, and then it comes into Italy, and Italic people start adopting it. And Polybius also tells us in his time in the 2nd century BC that the richer people already use it, whoever can afford it. And of course, the people who actually serve as the cavalry, a very small number in the Roman Republic, and these would basically be nobles. They don't have to be in the Senate, but they have to be like connected to the Senate nobility. I mean, there's some very rigid rules to become part of it. And what I said earlier, in ancient societies, you basically always have to perform to keep your rank in society. And I mean, the same is true. We always think of the Republic as a very hierarchic situation, of course. It is kind of true for nobles. They would usually not fall out of the nobility, or Equites would usually not become commoners or rank up into the nobility. But at the same time, yeah, the Equites as a rank, I mean, as the knights, these would be either these Equites or the senatorial nobility. Yeah, at the same time, you always have to show what you're actually made of. You always have to perform. And so, for example, if you're part of the highest part of Roman society, the nobilitas, this is always people who have been consul themselves or one of their predecessors has been. But if it's been too long ago, then you might also fall away and become part of the normal nobility, so to say. And this is, of course, very much connected with this unit in all the Roman cavalry units, because this is where the Roman commanders will be. And they will start fighting in these units and then become commanders themselves, and then hopefully rise up to become a praetor or a consul one day. And it all starts there, and you can see it as the sign of the status, of course. They look a lot more impressive than the other early units we've seen, and also the middle units from the Middle Republic. And yeah, it just shows how much this ethos, this aristocratic ethos of having to perform and outperforming others, especially, it's also reflected in their equipment, and you can easily tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy has achieved something, or his family has, and he really wants to fulfill his own ambition.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think modern republic or the modern democracy is complicated, guys, just try and understand like ancient democracies, like the amount of complicated and random rules and stuff about who can vote and how many votes they have, and who's like when they vote and who gets the most votes and who they're voting for. It's incredibly complicated and convoluted.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, just imagine living back then, and then obviously you've got all the Greek cities that some of them were republics or democracies, either way you want to put it, and they all had their own unique versions of it as well. So yeah, it's very cool. But this is where all your Republican heroes started out, guys, on the back of a horse with a spear and fighting as it's not a common soldier, a noble soldier, but as a cavalryman. And that's where they all started out. So it is very cool to see them here. One thing I was going to ask, actually, Mausolos, why is red so associated with Rome? When you think of Rome, right, you think of the color red. So why specifically red? I'm assuming it's because that dye was readily available in Italy, but why was it?
I mean, what we see on the shield, and also on the cloak, almost is more for purple. And I think purple is always associated with power, and the emperors, especially, not just in Rome, because it's originally made by the purple snails in Tyre in Phoenicia, the mother city of Carthage, and then there's very few other places who can produce it, so it means that it's very, very expensive. So purple as a sign of power, I think. So yeah, there's other red. Not every red is purple, obviously, but I think a lot of the time we do actually think of the purple, and then it's associated with Rome. And then the red also just obviously stands out when most people's clothes are just white and
Undyed,
grayish. So, yeah, I think a dye in blue was fairly cheap as well. Red is a bit more expensive. So again, it's a sign of status as well. And of course, people will associate it with the Spartans as well, red cloaks. And again, there will be just Spartiates, the elite who actually use it. So I think this is also a thing that it also, again, reflects some kinds of reflects some kind of wealth. But we also read again in Polybius that purple was also used by the Teutoonians from southern Iberia, and they are described as rich by Polybius. So I think the main association is actually with the wealth, between purple and wealth, and then red. Other forms of red are cheaper to make, but still kind of expensive. And so I think it's more associated with the elites, and we see it. Yeah, if you look at the lower tier units, there, they don't actually have the red, and yeah, we have some yellow variations there. I think Jotl was very keen on showing that the lower units don't have any red.
Yeah.
So you can immediately see if you look at these again and compare them.
Hastati, yeah.
Yeah, that is actually also just a sign of wealth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And of course, at the end, the Romans conquered the whole Mediterranean, so they had all the money, and then and the imperial allegiance is more common. So again, it's something people think of because of the imperial period, and then it's just Rome won basically, so they had all the wealth.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? We associate certain colours with certain nations. And yeah, that's obviously associated with Rome. And obviously, you know, the purple thing, that's why you tend to see these really elite units for the Greeks wearing purple as well. You know, the royal peltas for the Antigonids, your Agiraspides for the Seleucids and the Agema, all that sort of thing. The companions as well. So yeah, it's just really cool. I love that. I love that, and thank you for explaining it to me as well. No, it's cool.
Of course, you're welcome. And so is our audience, of course.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I think that is where we end, guys. So I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you have enjoyed looking at these brand new units and seeing all the work that's been done. Obviously, work is still continuing, constantly continuing. If you want to help out as a beta tester or join the mod team, the link to the Discord is down below. So that is the best thing that you can do, guys, is to help out these guys, because they've all got so much work and it is continuing at a furious pace. So I hope you have enjoyed sneak preview of the Romans, sneak previews of the maps, the climates, the new systems. So make sure you do like and subscribe, guys. It does really help the channel out, getting these videos to more people. And I want to say a big thank you to Mausolos and Biggus for joining us today. Thank you once again, Mausolos, and thank you for joining me for the first time, Biggus.
Yeah, thank you as well. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I hope our audience enjoys this, and we'll see more Romans next time, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now, enjoy these, and enjoy these, over luxurious Etruscans.
Yeah. And thank you for being on the channel for the first time, Biggus.
Thank you, Seth. Well, I expect people joined our meeting, so maybe we will be talking again later. I don't know, probably. We'll see.
Yeah, cool.
So one last thing maybe before we finish off, because I think this is also on Biggus' heart, and Biggus has poured a lot of energy into this. as you said already, Red, we always need more people helping out. So if you're out there, if you're seeing this, if you're interested in the ancient world, and if you have skills, especially in the artist department, but also if you have a background, if you studied history, for instance, and you know about some people others might not know about Scythians, Celts, Iberians, for instance. If you're listening in from Spain and you're doing Iberian archaeology, or if you're sitting I don't know, somewhere in Turkey, and you know something about Anatolian cultures, we are very glad for anyone joining us, or people who can just code. Can be anything. There's a lot of work going on, and yeah, it will just be quicker, and more Romans will be out much faster if more people join us. And yeah, you can check it on our Discord server, as Red already said, and Biggus has several announcements there where you can look exactly for what we need and how to apply.
I'm not good at all at speeches, but that's true. We are working a lot. We are in need of more people helping for coding, for research, but also with organization. The project is really big. We have so many capable members. Well, we have we had a shout on Abel, for example. He has been working on improving some processes, including AI to our coding tasks. So he has some of our processes being automatized. So that kind of stuff is really worth at our our project level, you know.
Yeah. So as you can see, you don't necessarily need to be someone who is specifically can tie your skills directly to modding. Like, if you have other skills, yeah, if you have other skills, you can still be useful. I mean, my skill is talking absolute shit for hours at a time, so that's why I do this. But but as you can see,
you are great.
yeah, great at talking shit.
One of my skills is I don't know, is do quick change, massive changes to the code using Excel sheets. So that is not 100% related to coding, but that's a useful skill, for example, and and uh, and so on. There are a lot of other tasks that could be improved of. So not, sorry. So that was what to say.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you get down into the Discord below, guys. That is excellent. Thank you once again, guys, for joining me. Absolutely great to see all this progress. Hopefully you have enjoyed, and we'll see you all again on the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Welcome all, this is Red Set. Welcome back to another video.
Maybe I'll cut that to the start.